Hey everyone, Glimpse here, and today we are going to be discussing on who you should be pulling in 3.6. So, first off, current banners that are out are Nahida and Nyla. Right? I mean, pretty solid characters. They're both, they're both very good characters you should pull for. Let me get this out of the way really quickly. Nobody touch this. No, nobody touch this weapon banner unless you have like Nyla and Nahida, and you don't have a weapon for Nahida, even though you should, because there's a million other options for her. And you just really love Nyla. Like, okay, that's it. I mean, these weapons are mostly pretty good, but they're not worth a weapon banner luck for this. Right? It's just whatever. Now back to these characters real quick in the first half of 3.6. So does Nahida, Nilo, Baizu, and Ganyu. Right? So this first half, Nahida is the most versatile, best character there is for Dendro application. At least as of now, I don't know how things might change in the future. Oh, and they did just release a new little clip art of Kirara. I believe that's how you say her name. The cat girl from Inazuma. Pretty cool. She's going to be Dendro Sword user. How good is she going to be? 4-star, so I don't have your hopes too high, but who knows, she might surprise us. So really quickly, first, best Dendro applicator. If you have a lot of... So basically, if you want to run any Dendro team, she's going to be the best option for most of these teams, right? Like Alhaitham, Sino in a lot of scenarios, not every scenario. Like Nilo, like Shinobu team, anything with like Bloom related, any Dendro reactions, like 9 times out of 10 you're gonna want Nahida. So if you're literally just looking for the best option here, Nahida. If you don't like the character, you don't like her playstyle, anything, go ahead, wait for Baizu if you just need a Dendro applicator. Like if you're still running Dendro MC or Kale or Yaya and that type of thing, and you don't feel like it's putting out enough, I guess either it's not living up to your standards, then go ahead and either go for Nahida or Baizu. I feel like either one of them is going to be pretty solid. Now, we don't know how good Baizu actually is till release, so if you might want to wait a little bit for that, but don't be too concerned about it. He's from Leeway, so he's probably going to be pretty solid at least. But once we'll get more into Baizu in a second. But mostly, if you just need a Dendro applicator, Nahida's the best one there is, probably. And then if you want Sino for multiple waves, you can wait for Baizu. Sino's like the main thing that's kind of going back and forth just due to how long his burst duration is, and if there's multiple waves, the Dendro application just won't be there for the other rounds. So, that's the main thing. Nilo. A very good character. I see people build her as like just the support for a Bloom team. I see people build her as Bloom DPS. I see people build her as just a main Hydro Vaporize user. All of them pretty solid. If you like, okay, all these characters, if you like them, pull for them. But this is mostly just like, should you pull for the character? Are they good for your account? Anything. Oh, and real quick, Dory mid, Layla. You don't really need pretty solid shield, but you could. It's not a must pull or anything. Shinobu pretty solid. You don't even need to run her in Dendro. I personally don't even run her in Dendro. I just use her as like an E, very stable and always like a sustain healer basically, because her healing is up 100% of the time. So she's basically really good, especially with constellations. I think she might have like 4 seconds of downtime or something like that without it, but when you get like a couple constellations down the line or anything, she has 100% uptime. And even without those 4 seconds, you don't really need every single second healing as long as you dodge like at all. But Shinobu, definitely a really cool character that I would recommend you trying to pull for slash build if you're looking for a healer that you don't want like burst dependent. Because I personally don't like healers that are burst dependent. So characters like Shinobu and Kokomi are pretty cool in my opinion. And Shinobu here is a 4-star and a lot cheaper than wasting pity or guaranteed or any primos or anything on a 5-star banner. So if you do happen to get, I mean, you don't need to go out of your way for her. If you do happen to get her, pretty solid. The other two characters you can get away without. Back to Nilo, a really cool character. Bunch of different ways to build her. I feel like if you're going all in, just get both of these and then run it with like Kokomi and Alhaitham or Kaveh or anything like that. Just complete like the full Hydra Dendro team. These two are basically very well paired. I was 100. I have Nahida. I was 100% gonna go for Nilo, but I'm so disappointed that she came before Baizu, and I'm at guaranteed. I'm like 20 away from guaranteed, and I can't risk. I just can't risk losing the thing for Baizu because he's a character I've waited for a lot longer. So I'm gonna have to be a little bit patient, wait for Nilo. But in my opinion, Nilo might rerun fairly soon because Fontaine's coming out in the next few patches, and they're gonna try to at least, in my mind, in my opinion, I feel like they're gonna try to push out all they can from their old Hydro characters before they go full send on like releasing a bunch of new Hydro characters in Fontaine. So, is there much to expect for her? Uh, I feel like she might be back soon, but don't quote me on that because who knows? I thought Yulo was gonna come back a while ago. Um, yeah. So that's mostly that. Now to get really quickly into the second half of the banner, there's gonna be Ganyu and Baizu. Let's go ahead and take a look at characters real quick. Ganyu, is she a good DPS? Yes. Okay, the weapon banner, don't pull Kave's weapon. Don't pull Baizu's weapon. There's a million other things. This weapon, pretty solid and everything, but it's on the standard banner. There's other options. Like this would probably be a better option, unless you, or you could go. What's Yelan's? Yelan's Aqua Simulacra. Excuse me. There's a lot of other like crit damage weapons, like Thundering Pulse and stuff that would probably work fine. Now, while this is good to have all the attack percent and such, I don't really think it's worth pulling on the weapon banner for, just because there's so many other options you can go for. Like, I currently run a support Ganyu, because in my opinion her DPS playstyle is just boring, right? And I feel like that's the biggest problem you hear about Ganyu, right? Like I literally have her just basically as a burst spam to help with Ayato, right? Because his burst does basically the same thing, just it's for a freeze comp, right? So do I recommend her as a DPS for everybody? No. I feel like if you like her playstyle and like you like FPS games or whatever, and you're playing on PC, like specifically because I hear a lot of people that play on mobile don't really like playing her just due to character design and how she's played and everything. So it is a lot easier to play on PC and everything. But if you like the character, you can make her work basically anywhere. She's pretty cool. She could be. You could have her versatility. You can just her versatility is like a support DPS. She can kind of do it all because her kit's like, her kit is support oriented with DPS numbers. Right, if that makes any sense. And if you want to run things with like Venti, Ayato, Diona, Mona, she works really good in those. Um, yeah, if you have any questions about any of these characters, just leave them down below. I'm happy to answer them for you. So overall, not Diona, Ganyu, a very solid character, but a slightly boring playstyle. So if you want to pull for her, go for it. You're going to be perfectly happy with your choice. Okay, and the last one is Baizu, which we don't currently have. So we're going to go here to Yao Yao. People really like Yao Yao. People say she's pretty solid. I played her in a couple of the events. The biggest problem for me was how short of a time that her burst stays up and that you have to stay on field while like jumping and everything to keep it. You swap off field, all those little bunny guys that look like Chikorita, they leave the field too, right? So personally, I don't really like that. Her e-healing is pretty cool, but I feel like there's just better options as well. Like you don't really need this character. Um, Baizu, I feel like is going to bring more to the table because he's going to have the same e-healing, and his burst is going to work for a longer period of time off field while providing a shield and healing every time the shield resets. So you don't have to stay on you don't have to stay on field, jump around and everything, kind of just waste time. Like if you know what I mean, people don't like Zhongli because they say it's a DPS loss to switch off and waste the time to hold the shield and swap back off, right? But then why are people so in love with Yao Yao jumping around and everything? Is she a cute character? Yeah, but Baizu is going to bring more to the table. That was just a quick little side rant. That's not too important to pulling Baizu or not, but I feel like people, well, I'm just saying people really like Yao, and I feel like Baizu potentially, as long as his numbers aren't like Deha level, is going to be, Baizu's going to be a really cool character, right? So, I have somebody with his artifacts. Is it Lisa? Yeah, Lisa's up to level 20. So, I basically have it set up to where it's a pretty big HP increase there, and I'm gonna I have this weapon ready for him that I'm gonna give because he wants HP. He could use the extra energy and just it's like extra healing and everything. So overall, a pretty cool character. So do I recommend pulling for Baizu? Yes, I would say first half if you really want to pull for someone, Nahida is the best option. And then Nyla just for like versatility. So Nahida above Nyla for this patch if you want to pull for someone. But if you don't really like Nahida, I recommend waiting for next patch, trying out Baizu, trying the new character. Or if you don't really like any of these, I don't really recommend Ganyu unless you just really like the character, just because there's other cryo DPS options if you want them. There's other bow DPS characters. It's like I don't really feel like she fills a niche anymore, and I feel like she's a little bit outdated, but that's just my opinion. You can believe whatever you want. I would never recommend her to a friend of mine or anything to play as a DPS character, just due to how the nature of her playstyle. It's just I'm not a fan, but to each their own. You know, some people love that playstyle. Some people find Ito boring, and I think he's a super fun character. So it's kind of just whatever you personally feel. If you think it's gonna be boring, you can go ahead and try her out in the trial run and see what you think. But I mean, the trial run's also not a completely accurate representation, but you'll kind of get the hang of it. So first half, Nahida's the best I mean, like this whole patch, Nahida's probably the best option overall, especially due to Fontaine coming out, new Hydro characters, new Bloom reactions, and everything that most likely will be ran. I don't know how much they're gonna stick with Dendro right after this. Are they just gonna like drop it? I'm not too sure. I don't know how much they can increase it, but they already have more Dendro characters than Geo characters, so they show that. I mean, well, they're already planning to release more Dendro than Geo, so we'll see how that goes. But so yeah, go for Nahida. If like this is just strictly on who's the best, I would say probably like Nahida, then Baizu, then Nilo, then Ganyu. That's the order of what I would say of who to do. Because Nyla's a pretty good character. It's just the only problem is she's really, really niche. And if you're someone like me who likes to have like a lot of different teams and kind of swap them around, like I like having lots of DPS character teams that I can kind of swap around and mess with a bit. You know, so like, let's see. Where was I going? Oh, I think it was on the Sino one. Okay, yeah. So here's something I do need to mention about Baizu as well. Like, if Baizu has good enough survivability, I can kind of drop Zhongli on this team, right? And if he has enough Dendro application, I can also drop Nahida. Will he have enough? We'll have to wait and see that officially. But if what I'm imagining in my head is right, at least against like a few opponents, it probably won't work in large AoE situations, but within a few opponents, you can drop both of these characters, put Baizu here to fill both of these roles, and then fill another role here with okay, I fill here with like crowd control, or just bringing them together, or swirling, or just like Kazuha to bring more damage to the team, which overall would increase the like some people saying like, oh, Nahida brings more damage, but if you're able to consolidate both these roles into one and bring a whole nother support character that's like better designed for the team, then that'd work perfectly, right? Because I've talked about this before, but Nahida's kind of pointless in multi-wave with Sino because the synergy is just not there, right? So overall, Sino's like the main contender as to why I would say Baizu's better than Nahida, but most other cases you want Nahida, right? It just makes sense. This team really does lack crowd control because Sino is very single target damage oriented, unless you have enemies close together, and then that's when more of his hits will hit more people. But if they're all spread out and you don't have any way of keeping them together, you're not going to be hitting anyone, you know. So I think that might be a pretty good, at least somewhat significant damage increase to Sino. And yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. But oh yeah, and we have to wait to see Baizu's actual buff in game and how well it works and everything. Some people are saying it might be better than Nahida's EM buff. Will that be true? I don't know, because Dendro really relies on EM, and EM, what was it? It was... Okay, right here. Each point of her elemental mastery beyond 200 will grant 0.1. So, as long as you're at... Oh wait, that's not it. I don't remember where it was. Okay, here it is. So you get 25% of the elemental mastery that Nahida has, and the max you can get is 250, right? So as long as you reach 1000 EM, I'm at 873 right now, but when you're in a Dendro team, it gets up to like 900 something, and then I also need to level up one of these. What do I need to level up? Oh yeah. So I'll level this up a bit. I'll keep her in a Dendro team, and then also if I also level her weapon up a bit, she'll be at 1000. She's pretty close in a Dendro team. Here, actually, let me just show you so you can kind of get a better idea of it. Like, in my Nahida's not completely... My Nahida has almost no investment. Like, I spent very little time working on this. But if you take a look at her in a double Dendro team, look, then her EM just automatically... She's up to 923, right? So after I get this up, or level up her weapon a bit more just to reach that 1000 threshold, she'll be giving anyone 250 EM to the whole team after she uses her burst, right? So the 250 EM is also pretty helpful. You can also get that from like Diona, C6 Diona and C2 Kazuha, that type of thing. So if you already have those, don't worry too much about it. Sucrose also gives some EM. So there's just a lot of other options and stuff. I'm kind of trying to give you guys the best things to think about what is important to you in terms of what you need mostly for your account. So that's pretty much the main idea of it. Personally, if Baizu is first, I would try to go for Baizu and Nailu, and then maybe try to run them together. Like, I don't know, something like Nailu, Baizu, Kaveh, and then try to get Kokomi down the line just so I can kind of have the Dendro Hydro team. But to each their own, you can... I mean, there's not a bad character on these banners as far as I'm concerned, as of right now, unless Baizu comes out and completely, like, tanks everything we thought. But as of right now, you can't go wrong with what 5-star character you're pulling for. You know, so don't stress too much about this patch. Um, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Yeah, sorry the videos have been a little bit delayed. I've been kind of busy recently. I'm glad to be back here making videos. Hopefully things will start working out. Just between school, work, and everything, trying to juggle everything. It gets kind of busy, but I do roll in to say I appreciate all of you so much for all the support and everything. If you do enjoy the videos, like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal. And yeah, you guys have all been great. You guys also supportive, and I just really appreciate talking to you guys all in the comments. I think it's really nice to hear guys' opinions, hear who you're pulling for, hear what you think about some characters, you know? So, pretty cool. Oh, and if you guys are looking forward to something, if you guys want to look forward to a certain type of video in the future, Heart of Depth will be no more. Well, I don't know about forever, but we'll see. I have started another build. Who was it? I think it was Niguang? Yeah. Nope. Here you go. I have started a child build. I have this piece, which, I mean... I mean, you see it's not great. I ran this domain like 5 times. But I have been saving. I've been saving these for the past few patches. I'm gonna go all out, try to see if I can get a good set for child. That's a good amount of resin there that I'm gonna try to be getting, so let's hope that works out. And I'm doing updated, seeing if it's worth it for child and everything. Try it on Ayato, maybe a couple other characters I do want to test, but I mostly just want to try it on child first. So we'll see if we get to the other characters. I do plan on trying to do that. That's not guaranteed or anything, but I will definitely 100% make a child guide because the new boss came out. Right, so I'm mostly going to work on... Okay, I was just farming this earlier today. Okay, this boss right here. This boss came out, and my dream says that Baizu may or may not need these. Nobody knows. But between us, you want to farm this if you're going for Baizu. So I'm just getting this in advance. I'm going to get all these things. Get all the little things for Kaveh and stuff. They look like they might be annoying to farm. We'll have to wait and see. But after I finish all those boss materials that I'm going to need for Baizu, I'm 100% going to be farming all in on this child domain. Is that the smartest? No. But I do want to get a slightly better ratio on him. This is pretty solid to be fair, but this is like the worst luck I've had with any artifacts. Literally look at this sands, bro. This is the most artifact... Okay, so I farmed this domain the most out of any domain last year. That's what the event said. I still can't believe this is the best sands I've gotten from that. That's pathetic. So this is what's carrying it right now, and I don't have a better Heart of Depth flower or feather that I can kind of switch this off for my tax hands. So hopefully we get something better here, and we get just better pieces overall that I do want to work on because this build's kind of slacking right now. But he's a really cool character, and I do love playing him. And so after I get all the boss materials and everything for Baizu and Kaveh, I'm going all in with all these condensed resins for child domain. So look forward to that. Let me know if you guys want to see that and how much of that farming you want to watch. We'll go back and forth. I might do a couple of videos on it, see how it goes. Just see how lucky I get. So yeah, if you guys all enjoyed the video, thank you so much for watching. Just want to say I appreciate you all so much one more time and hope that you guys all have an amazing day. See ya.